Today I made my way to Tyne Cot cemetery right here on the Passendale battlefield. The battle for Passendale, third battle of Ypres, was fought in this area where the cemetery is. And today I'm going to take you guys with me. I'm going to explore the cemetery, look at some graves, and yeah, this is one of the most impressive Commonwealth cemeteries in the whole Ypres area. It's the largest Commonwealth cemetery for any war in the world, and there are almost 12,000 soldiers buried here, and over 8,300 of them are unknown. So a lot of unknown graves here. So this area originally was a German position, and it was taken by the British Army in October of 1917. And the cemetery itself lies on a ridge, and if you walk up to the edge you can see that clearly. So it was a pretty important location. And there are several German blockhouses here still on the site of Tyne Cot cemetery, and one of those blockhouses was large enough to be used as a dressing station. So wounded soldiers were brought to this dressing station, and when they passed away they were buried right beside the blockhouse. And that's how Tyne Cot cemetery basically came to be, because there were already a lot of soldiers buried here. So that German blockhouse I was talking about, that was used as an aid station, you can see it right behind me. This cross of sacrifice was built on top of the German blockhouse, and that's where the wounded were treated during the Battle of Passendale. And of course some of those soldiers passed away from their wounds, and they were buried right along the dressing station. And like at most cemeteries, wartime cemeteries, all the graves are perfectly lined up. But you can see around this memorial, the cross of sacrifice, there are a bunch of graves that are maybe not so neatly placed. So you can tell by that they are the original burials that happened during the Battle for Passendale, while the battle was still going on. So you can clearly see that here you have two graves side by side. You have one lone grave. There's a grave off to the side. Here you have a single grave as well. Over here you have a group of graves. Those are all original burials that happened during the Battle for Passendale. If you see the rest of the graves, like I said, perfectly lined up. These, you have like a group over there, by four, and there are over 350 original burials here at this site. Over here, underneath the cross of sacrifice, you can still see part of the original German blockhouse that was used as an aid station. It was actually captured by the 3rd Australian Division, October 4th, 1917. I just told you guys that there are over 350 original burials that happened during the Battle for Passendale, the third Battle of Ypres, while the battle was still going on. And this group of graves are part of that. And you can see that they buried multiple guys in one grave. And after the war, when this cemetery was commissioned, they changed the headstones and they added like a little message from the family. And also here we have 2 unknown graves. The left one says 8 soldiers of the Great War. And next to them are 4 Australian soldiers of the Great War. And also here we have 3 gravestones with multiple people's names on it. So yeah, they're all part of the original burials. Just like the one lonely grave over there. There's 3 guys over there with the purple flowers. So that's how you can tell them apart from the rest of the graves. Another thing that's pretty unique for this cemetery is that we have also a couple of German soldiers buried here. And this gravestone behind me is for one of those soldiers. It says Otto Bieber, died October 4th, 1917. And ein deutscher Soldat, so an unknown German soldier. And those guys were wounded during the attack. The British or the Commonwealth forces came from that direction. They attacked the hill and the German forces retreated back behind me up the hill. And yeah, of course, several German casualties were there, and these guys were wounded during that attack, and they were treated at the blockhouse aid station that I was talking about. They were treated by Commonwealth doctors, but they died of their wounds, so they decided to bury them here. So here's that gravestone that I was just sitting by talking about, and here right next to it there's another one with 2 unknown German soldiers. So a total of 4 unknown German soldiers are buried here at Tyne Cot Cemetery. There are almost 12,000 graves on the cemetery, and over 8,300 of them are unknowns. And you can clearly see that here in this row. Here we have an unknown soldier. Next to him an unknown soldier. An unknown soldier. Yeah, I just can keep on walking because all of these guys here buried are unknown soldiers. And here we have the row divider. After that it just keeps on going. Unknown soldier, one after the other. So yeah, that's almost 70%. Here we have a guy with a name. And then it keeps continuing. Unknown soldier. And that's almost 70% of soldiers are buried here are unknowns. So here we have the grave of one of the guys that was awarded the Victoria Cross. And you can also see the inscription of the Victoria Cross on the headstone. Is the highest Commonwealth medal for valor. And this guy is buried here. His name is James Peter Robinson, and he was killed on November 6, 1917, aged 35. So James Robinson was a Canadian soldier born in Nova Scotia, and he was part of the assault on Passendale on November 6, 1917, and his platoon was held up by uncut wire and an enemy machine gun position, which was causing many casualties. And he alone rushed the machine gun position, and after a desperate struggle with the crew, he killed 4 of those soldiers, and he turned the gun on the remainder of the German soldiers that were running towards their own lines, and he inflicted more casualties among the enemy. And then, carrying the captured machine gun with him, he led his platoon to the final objective. And there he got the machine gun into action also, and firing on the retreating enemy, and he kept down the fire of enemy snipers. And later 2 of his comrades were badly wounded in front of his trench, and he went out and carried one of them under heavy fire back to their own lines. And then he went back for the second guy, and he was killed just as we returned with the second man. And for most conspicuous bravery, he was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross on January 11, 1918. And he's also, yeah, like I said, buried here at Tyne Cot Cemetery. And his grave says, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." Besides the graves on this cemetery, they also have a wall of the missing. And in the Ypres Salient there are over 90,000 missing soldiers whose bodies have never been recovered. And their names are located on several memorials. There are 4 of them in this area. One of them is Menengate. And when Menengate was full, they didn't have any more room to put names on. They decided to build a wall of the missing here at Tyne Cot Cemetery. The panels are erected for the different units. So over there you have Machine Gun Corps, Tank Corps, Royal Army Ordnance. So every regiment has their own couple of panels. So all the soldiers missing soldiers from that regiment are together. And yeah, the wall goes all around the cemetery. I will show you a little bit about that right now.
So I've got with me the cap badge and the shoulder pin from the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry, and this is the memorial to those men here at Tyne Cot. And I want to point out 2 in particular. So we have Captain Morehouse and Lieutenant Colonel Morehouse, and the captain was in command of a company very near to where Tyne Cot is, and he was leading his men in an attack up the ridge when he was mortally wounded. He was taken back to an aid station where his father left his headquarters to go and seek help for his son when his father was killed by a sniper. It's believed that these are the only father and son who died during the battle for Passendale, and they died within about an hour of each other.
So we've come today to Tyne Cot Memorial, and we've got with us the death plaque, often referred to as the death penny, for Private Lloyd Jones. We've also got his victory medal here. So Lloyd Jones was serving just in this area with the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry, and he was attacking near here on the 4th of October 1917. During that attack he was killed, and unfortunately his body was never recovered. So he was one of the thousands of soldiers registered missing, and as such he is named here on the memorial to the missing. So that's the name for Lloyd Jones here on panel 109 in the Tyne Cot Cemetery.
Apart from the 3 soldiers that are buried here who were awarded a Victoria Cross, there are also a couple of soldiers on the wall of the missing that have been awarded the Victoria Cross. And down here we have Corporal Clamp. You can see VC before his name. His name is William Clamp, and that stands for Victoria Cross. And yeah, his body is still missing. He served as a corporal with the Yorkshire Regiment. And yeah, he was awarded the Victoria Cross after he died, and his body was never recovered or was lost. So he is named on the wall of the missing. So it's not only Victoria Cross recipients buried in the cemetery, but also on this wall.